ట్రంప్ నెతన్యాహు కలిసి ప్రపంచాన్ని ప్రమాదంలోకి నెట్టారు. అమెరికా, ఇజ్రాయెల్, ఇరాన్పై ప్రారంభించిన యుద్ధం వల్ల ఇప్పటికే ట్రిలియన్ల డాలర్ల ఆర్థిక నష్టం జరిగింది. ఒకరోజు యుద్ధం వల్ల జరిగే విధ్వంసం నుంచి కోలుకోవడానికి 60 రోజుల సమయం పడుతుంది. ఆయిల్ రిఫైనరీలు, గ్యాస్ ఉత్పత్తి కేంద్రాలు, పోర్టులు, పైప్లైన్ల ధ్వంసం వల్ల కోల్పోయే మౌలిక వస్తువులను తిరిగి పునరుద్ధరించుకోవడానికి నెలల సమయం పడుతుంది. ఇంధనం దిగుమతిపై ఆధారపడిన భారత్ లాంటి దేశాలు భారీ మూల్యం చెల్లించుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుందంటున్న ప్రముఖ ఆర్థికవేత్త, కొలంబియా విశ్వవిద్యాలయం ఎకనామిక్స్ ప్రొఫెసర్ జెఫ్రీ సాక్స్ తో ఈనాడు ఈటీవీ ప్రత్యేక ప్రతినిధి ఎంఎల్ఎన్ నరసింహారెడ్డి ప్రత్యేక ముఖాముఖి చూద్దాం.
యుద్ధంలో అనేక మంది మరణించి విధ్వంసం జరుగుతున్నా తీవ్రంగా ప్రతిఘటిస్తుంది. ఈ ప్రభావం అలాగానే హర్మోజ్ పై నిషేధాజ్ఞ విధించి ఆయిల్, గ్యాస్ సరఫరాను అడ్డుకోవడంతో ప్రపంచవ్యాప్తంగా ఆర్థిక రంగంపై తీవ్ర ప్రభావం చూపింది. ఈ నేపథ్యంలో ప్రముఖ ఆర్థికవేత్త, కొలంబియా విశ్వవిద్యాలయంలో ఎకనామిక్స్ ప్రొఫెసర్గా ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రొఫెసర్ జెఫ్రీ సాక్స్ తో మనకి ఇంటర్వ్యూ ఇవ్వడానికి అంగీకరించారు. మనం ఆయనతో మాట్లాడబోతున్నాం. ఈ అంతర్జాతీయ పరిణామాలు, యుద్ధం ఎన్ని రోజులు కొనసాగే అవకాశం ఉంది, దీనిపైన ఇది ఎలాంటి టర్న్ తీసుకోబోతుంది, వీటన్నిటిపైన మనం అడిగి తెలుసుకున్నాం. ఎవ్రీడే ప్రెసిడెంట్ ట్రంప్ మేడ్ డిఫరెంట్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ అన్కండిషనల్ సరెండర్ టు డెడ్ లైన్స్. What is the goal of the Iran war? Is the US accomplishing its goal in the war?
Well, this war was launched by Trump, by Netanyahu, and by very few other people. So this was not a carefully thought out war. This was a belief that Israel and the United States could topple the Iranian government and replace it with a puppet regime. That failed. So at this point, both the U.S. and Israel are scrambling. On Israel's side, Israel just wants the United States to escalate, to destroy Iran. The United States government, well, we're in the hands of Trump, who is not smart, not consistent, has not planned, doesn't know what he's doing, and so every day is a different kind of threat or a different kind of demand. In other words, this is improvisation, because the entire war was improvisation by two leaders.
Sir, what would be the acceptable in this war for US?
Well, what should anything be acceptable for the US? They started a war of aggression. They should go home. Stop bothering the rest of the world. Israel should stop bothering the rest of the world. I don't know what's acceptable to Trump. I regard him as a mentally unstable person. He should just go home. This is his war of aggression. There was no reason for this war.
Sir, many people argued that Trump is becoming increasingly irrational and that the miscalculation in the war against Iran. What is your view?
I think that this is quite possibly correct. I'm listening to psychiatrists and psychologists who are saying that he always had an ugly personality, but now he seems to have traits of dementia as well. He's unhinged. The foul mouth, the foul language that he used on Easter Day is not the language of a president of the United States, but is a language of an irrational person. Our newspapers couldn't even print what the president of the United States posted. It was so vulgar. So in this sense, I believe that he is suffering from frontotemporal dementia, as well as always an underlying malignant narcissistic personality. I think things are getting worse.
Sir, what is the estimated cost of the conflict to global economy? What is the economic impact on Americans and the world? Iran war could crash world economy?
Yes. This war in dollar terms will cost trillions of dollars to world output and to the world economy. How deep the crisis is depends on how long it goes on. I was just reading, and I can't verify it because I just saw the headline, that Israel has attacked again Iran's South Pars gas field. If this is correct news, then Iran will escalate and it will attack gas and oil fields in the Gulf region. And we will soon be in a situation where the Strait of Hormuz is not the central question, but rather the physical destruction of the oil and gas fields, the refineries, the pipelines, and the port facilities. So there will be a terrible destruction of the infrastructure of the energy supply that constitutes about 1/3 of the world's petroleum. This is the path that we're on right now. It's a very, very major calamity. Everybody is learning economics rapidly that oil is not just petrol in the gas tank or aviation fuel. It's fertilizers, it's petrochemicals, it's used in many ways throughout the entire industrial supply chain. It's already creating major disruptions around the world, and yet we have a lot more harm to come if this Israel-US war continues.
Sir, can you elaborate what would happen if the war escalates more?
If the war escalates more, there will be physical destruction of the oil and the gas sector. And this will mean that no matter what happens to the prices of these products, which will soar, the physical supplies will diminish, and therefore the physical output of the world economy will shrink. This will hit transport, of course. It's already disrupting air travel. It's already putting public transport out of reach and personal transport of vehicles out of reach of poor people. It will mean a disruption of the world food production because, of course, this energy is used for fertilizer production. And also, there's a lot of fertilizer production, especially urea, that is shipped directly from the Gulf region because it's an energy-intensive product. And so we're going to see an immediate catastrophe in food production in the poorest countries, which will be priced out of the market for the diminished fertilizer availability. When these shocks have occurred in the past, they have led to unemployment, falling wages, falling living standards, higher cost of living, and prolonged disruptions to the world economy, often financial crises that follow on the direct physical supply crises because countries suddenly can't pay their debts. They can't borrow again. So there are a cascading series of effects that will come from this. The shock is already serious, but if the war goes on, and if it's right what I just read, that Israel has destroyed a significant part of Iran's gas production, this probably means that we're already on the path of a dramatic escalation.
Sir, do you think countries like India, China are not playing their role? What do you expect from these countries?
I expect the three great powers, Russia, China, and India, together to say to the United States and to Israel, you must stop your war of aggression. That's what I really expect, because you have three great powers that constitute an enormous proportion of the world's population that are together in the BRICS. India leads the BRICS countries this year. I expect that they can identify clearly the root cause of this, which is not Iran. The root cause of this war is Israel and the United States. Israel and the United States need to stop their war of aggression. Trump doesn't listen to almost anybody. He is influenced by Netanyahu, but he is out of control in U.S. domestic politics. But he does listen to his peers, and his peers are Prime Minister Modi, President Putin, and President Xi. Israel needs to understand that it has created a great global crisis, and it's a shame and a disgrace, and it needs to stop this behavior because Israel has created more wars on a per capita basis than any other place in the world, and it needs to stop its hatreds.
Sir, US counterintelligence chief resigned as a protest, army chief removed. Do you think many officers in the Trump administration are not happy with this war?
We cannot even understand who supports this war. Honestly, even if you're a close observer of American politics, as I am, you can't find two names other than Trump. You can only find Hegseth as a supporter of this war from the inside. You cannot find the name of the head of intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, or the CIA, or the military chiefs, or even the congressional leaders, or maybe the Secretary of State, who's kind of pathetic and gives whatever excuses he needs to day. But the truth is, you cannot really find the authors of this other than Trump and Hegseth. Whimsical, improvisational, short-term decision-making based on a false premise that all you had to do was kill the leadership of Iran and then Donald Trump would pick the next leader. This was actually the belief. Of course, it sounds crazy, but I'm sorry to say Donald Trump is crazy.
Do you think US plan control over Middle East or Netanyahu influenced the Trump?
It's both. U.S. and Israel are completely joined together. Mossad and the CIA have been partners for decades. So you can't really say it's a plan for Israel dominance or a plan for U.S. dominance. In the minds of the security apparatus, those two go together. Is it a well-designed plan? Of course not. Is it a successful plan? No. But the idea was that Israel would be the predominant military power in the Middle East, and that would be part of America's plan for America's global dominance. Israel would hold down the Middle East region on behalf of the United States. And the U.S. would use that power, for example, to direct oil, to say to India, you get this or you don't get this, to say to China, you get this or you don't get this. This is the American idea that it will control the world. It will say to every country, we control the world's oil and gas supplies. We will tell you what to do. India, yes, this week you can buy Russian oil. Next week you can't buy Russian oil. China, you can't buy Iranian oil. You can't buy Venezuelan oil. This is the mindset, and Israel is a partner in that. And Israel's view is that they're surrounded by enemies, so they have to kill them all, and they have to dominate the region. It's an absolutely terrible and destructive mindset.
Sir, do you think Iran is the graveyard of American hegemony?
I hope it's not the graveyard for all of us, because this war could escalate to a nuclear war.
He captured Maduro. There is no resistance. That's why he entered the war with Iran. So about today, if he won the Iran war, he will go to Cuba.
He's probably going to go to Cuba in any event, because he's going to need some victory. And he's going to need to salve his ego. And Marco Rubio has an obsession with Cuba as well. So there's a real chance that they will try to take over Cuba. And it is true. The Venezuela story is bizarre. It's definitely not exactly what it looks like. the United States does not exactly run Venezuela, but they think they do. And the Venezuelans are playing along either very cleverly or not cleverly. It's hard to know. But the United States thinks that it runs Venezuela because it kidnapped the president. It's not really that way, but that's what encouraged Trump to think all we have to do is kill the supreme leader of Iran and we're going to have the same outcome. Definitely, he was stoked up by what happened in Venezuela, and he will try the same thing in Cuba.
Sir, you have argued that US acts as a disruptive, not constructive force in global politics. What specific realistic shifts in the US foreign policy could actively facilitate a peaceful multipolar world?
The United States needs to learn to behave. This is the most basic point. The US, after 1991, said to itself in the top leadership, "We run the world." That's literally what they said to themselves. I know that. I know these people. They believed that with the demise of the Soviet Union, the United States stood alone. And in their arrogance, they thought this would last forever and that it was a good thing and that the world would crave the United States to lead the world. Well, this was all delusional, and it led the United States on a very nasty path of making demands on the rest of the world rather than learning to accommodate in mutual respect with the rest of the world.
Sir, what will happen to NATO? Will it disintegrate or to take a new shape?
Well, it should disintegrate. It should have ended in 1990. NATO was established in 1949 to defend against the claim of a Soviet invasion of Western Europe. In 1990, President Gorbachev unilaterally disbanded the Soviet-led military alliance, the so-called Warsaw Pact. That was the time when real leaders in the United States would have said, well, we also, and NATO, you're no longer a threat. But that did not happen. What did happen was that the United States and Germany promised Gorbachev that NATO would not expand eastward in the context of German reunification in 1990. As soon as Germany reunified and the Soviet Union ended in 1991, the U.S. cheated on its commitment, and Germany cheated as well. They both started to favor NATO enlargement to take the space that was left behind by the retreating Soviet Union. And this is why we ended up in a war in Ukraine, but it also displays the mindset that after 1991, the idea was the U.S. should have a peace on every part of the board. It should have military bases in the Indian Ocean. It should have military bases in Africa, in the Middle East, in East Asia, in Latin America, in Europe, of course. Why? Why would you need that in a world? Why do you need 750 overseas military bases in 80 countries? Only if you have the delusion that you want to run the world. If you're the sole superpower, well, you're not really a threat from anybody. You don't need all those military bases.
Sir, inflation is rising. Price, oil and gas, these prices are gone up. So what is the real mood of the people in America, particularly the intellectuals or the common man, different people?
Well, we know from the opinion surveys that Trump's approval rating is about 35%, and his disapproval rating is about 60%. We know that the Americans are against this war by a very, very large margin. It depends exactly on how the question is asked, but only around 1/4 of the population favors this war. We know from the betting markets that the likelihood that the Democrats win one or both houses of Congress in November is about 90%. So the public is not supporting Trump. And I think as the prices rise, as the crisis rises, as Trump's ugliness is shown to make a the kind of Easter Day message that he made yesterday, full of expletives that are shocking. People are coming to the view that this is a mentally diminished man and a danger to the United States.
Sir, will this lead to a world war or a prolonged war like that of Ukraine, or there is any compromise within the short time? Already there is a news that there are 45 days ceasefire. Both countries are discussing.
It's possible that there could be a ceasefire. I don't think that there could be a ceasefire in good faith by the United States and Israel. Even as they're supposedly negotiating, Israel is attacking full out on Iran. Israel doesn't want a ceasefire. Israel wants the United States to use its full military weight to destroy its enemy. And this is why it's very important that India work together with China and Russia to stop this. India, was snuggling up to Israel. This is a big mistake. Predictably a big mistake. Israel is not a peaceful country. Israel is a country that is trying to dominate the Middle East in a completely irrational and destructive way. Thank you very much. Good to talk with you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
ఇరాన్ యుద్ధం దీర్ఘకాలికంగా కొనసాగితే ప్రపంచ ఆర్థిక వ్యవస్థ పైన మరింత తీవ్ర ప్రభావం చూపుతుందని, ఒక్కరోజు యుద్ధం ఆలస్యమైతే హార్మోజ్ నుంచి సరఫరా 60 రోజులు ప్రభావం పడుతుందని ప్రముఖ ఆర్థికవేత్త జెఫ్రీ సాక్స్ అభిప్రాయపడ్డారు. ట్రంప్ అనాలోచిత నిర్ణయాలు, ట్రంప్ ఆలోచనల వల్లనే ఈ యుద్ధం ప్రపంచంపై రుద్దబడిందని చెప్పి ఆయన అభిప్రాయపడ్డారు. నరసింహారెడ్డి, చీఫ్ ఆఫ్ న్యూస్ బ్యూరో, ఈనాడు, హైదరాబాద్.